Good morning, First Lady. Can you hear us?
Good morning. I can. How's everybody?
We are great. Thank you very much. My name is Joel Charlotte. I'm going to step in front of the camera. It'll be a little weird, but my name is Joel Charlotte. I'm the Director of Operations here at the Cyber Bytes Foundation. On behalf of the board of directors, we wanted to thank you very much for taking the time this morning to come speak to us. We have assembled a great group of young adults who have been spending the week with us. I'm not going to explain the camp. We're going to allow them the opportunity to do that here for you in a minute. And before we get there, I just wanted to say, introduce you here real quick. So before I turn it over to you, I just wanted to let the kids know, campers. So we have the pleasure today of having First Lady of Virginia, Ms. Pamela Northam, on with us today. She is a very big advocate of STEM, right? So that's everything you've been learning today and a whole lot more. So she's got some great experience. She does a lot of really good things for the Commonwealth of Virginia, helping with our education initiative. And we are, hopefully, we're aligned with what she's doing. And I think as you guys can explain to her and ask questions later, I think she'll see that hopefully we are as well, and that we're helping to really advance her cause. So, First Lady, before I'm going to introduce a couple of students. Actually, I'm going to let them introduce themselves to you. I've got three young ladies who have all volunteered to stand up and let you know what camp has been for them. And so I'm going to turn over to them real quick. So first, Alejandra, you two are going together. Okay, turn it over to them.
Thanks, Joel.
How are you doing today?
Hi.
So my name is Ilu, and this is my name. Today we wanted to explain more about what all of us have been doing the past 4 or 5 days, and what we're going to be doing the next day and today. It's been like a great
That's great. Hey guys, can I stop you a minute? I'm having a little trouble with the audio hearing you. And I don't know if there's a way we can get the mic a little closer to you. Maybe I heard Joel loud and clear. And you are speaking so beautiful that I want to hear every single word that comes out of your gorgeous mouth. So I just wanted to make sure that I could hear you.
I think we need to be a little louder as well. So
that's perfect. Now I can hear you. I'm old, you know. You got to talk loud to us old folks. And would you all tell me your names again, please?
I'm Lala. I'm Alejandra. I'm Bly.
Great, thank you.
So what we did the first day was we started out learning how to script Python.
Wow.
And then we learned a little bit about drones and how to get a license in flying drones. And then on Tuesday, and also on Monday, we learned about privacy in security flying drones. And then on Tuesday, we built the drones, and then we flew the drones, and then we did that, and we had optional courses that we went through. And then on Wednesday, which yesterday, we had Grim was here, and we hacked into 2 different fake websites that were.
Wow.
We learned about that, and we learned about what Grim is about and like what their mission is. And then today, we have learned about robotics, and then we have also built like little mini robots. So.
Gosh, so what's been your favorite so far?
Really all of it, but I think if I really had to pick one, I really like doing the drones and like building those and seeing what all goes into it. So I really like that.
Awesome. And what surprised you the most about building drones?
I just, I didn't really think about what all went into them before. So just learning about that was, I think that was the most surprising thing.
A lot goes into it, right?
Yeah.
That's terrific. And yet you were still able to do it, which is wonderful. That's great. Thank you. You all accomplished a lot in just a few days.
Also, adding to that, we met a lot of extraordinary people, a lot of people who put influences to us. For example, we met Lieutenant Colonel, the people even here, Joel, everyone. We also yesterday we met Chad and Christoph, I believe. And all of them, while they were speaking and sharing their experiences, what they have done throughout their lives and how they got here, to their career that they love doing every day. It was also a great, I think, inspiration and aspiration for all of us, in addition to what we did. So.
Great. And did they ever talk about, did they say it was easy?
Oh, no. I don't think nothing else is exciting, especially for this.
Right.
Where they are.
That's great. That's awesome. Terrific stories, I bet.
Thank you. So, based on what we have told you about the camp, we would like to ask you if you had any questions for us or the whole team in general before we ask you questions about your career.
Sure. Well, first of all, I want to welcome everybody to the Digital Dominion. Did you know that's what Virginia is called? Anybody heard that? So we're called the Digital Dominion because we have so many jobs, thousands of jobs that go unfilled every year here in the Commonwealth. And we really need bright young people like you to help us to fill those jobs. We have terrific companies here. We're a real critical internet hub. We have Amazon HQ2. We've got Microsoft, NASA Langley, NASA Wallops. We've got great science and technology, engineering, mathematics firms all across the Commonwealth. But they really need folks like you. And actually, one of the ways we fought across the whole country to get some of these companies to come right here to Virginia is we promised them that we had great talent, just like you. And so you are an important part of our economy here in Virginia. So we really appreciate that you all are trying this on because we need you, and not just for the economy, but also in service to your country. And I know you spoke about some military folks, and my family is a military family too. And a lot of the challenges we have, I'm sure you've already heard about, are in cybersecurity. And so much of our lives are online now, especially during this pandemic. And I think a lot of people's eyes have been opened to how much we are really automated in our society. And thank heavens for a lot of it right now, because that's how we're going to school and getting supplies and everything else right now, isn't it? So this is a vital, vital service that we provide to the community, as well as security. So there's so many different aspects that science, technology, engineering, mathematics has throughout our whole lives and throughout the digital dominion. So we're so proud of you all for taking this challenge on and for learning to do these new and exciting things. And I hope you will find your passion and career, in education. And that's part of my background too. We're thinking that we have to open minds like yours to jobs we can't even conceive of today. So we're giving you tools, I hope, so that you can create the jobs of tomorrow, which is exciting, a little bit daunting, but also very exciting that you have a future that we can't even imagine. And we really are excited and hopeful because of incredibly bright young people like you. And we need minds of all kinds. It's so important in our STEM careers that people of color and women are not represented in the numbers that we need. We want to do beyond equity. We want to see what we can do. We have all minds, all bright minds on these difficult challenges that we have, from climate change to dealing with cyber attacks. So having great young people like you that are willing to step up is really important to us today. And the governor and I thank you, and we're so very proud of you for taking on this challenge. And we thank your friends for really at the foundation here for putting this opportunity on and making sure that you can make the best of it. So tell me first, are y'all ready to fly some drones today? Yeah, I see a few nods. Raise your hands if you're ready. You got some work to do first? Okay, good. T-minus and counting. So I would love to hear from you. Any questions you might have for me? And please feel free. You can raise a hand, come forward and grab the mic and ask me. I'm only as good as your questions, so please feel free to ask me. If I don't know, we'll find the answer for you.
So beforehand, we actually have collected a few of the students' questions.
Great.
So we're going to ask questions, and after that, if they have any extra other questions,
Terrific.
So one of the first questions that we got was, how can we get a drone certification program in our schools in Virginia? And can we make it possible to get credit in schools for camps like this?
Yeah, so, the exciting thing is I've actually visited some programs in schools where they were flying drones, and they were a little bit younger than you guys. You guys are mostly high school. Is that what I see? So I actually was working with some early middle school students the other day when we were flying some drones and doing some really basic programming. In fact, I got to fly one right over the principal's head, which I don't think he was expecting. But, so it is happening. I agree with you that hands-on education is the best and most fun. It's the way I like to learn. It's what I did in my science classroom when I taught. In fact, every time there was a really bad smell in the school, they would usually come to my classroom and say what's happening. And I think the smoke alarm went off 1 or 2 times. But I think that's a really fun way to learn. And I agree with you. And the way that we get things in the classroom is we actually have a STEM commission right now that we began when the governor and I came into office. And that's what we've charged them to do, is to work with people in the industry and educators and bring everyone together at the table, virtual or real, to say, how can we get better opportunities like this into the classroom? Talking to people like Joel and the great folks there at the foundation, and figuring out ways we can get that curriculum into the schools. A lot of it is down to money. I got to tell you, funding is something we wrestle with every day, is to get enough money to pay our amazing, incredible superhero teachers, to get materials like robotics and like drones into the schools. And we want to make sure we get it for everyone. That's so important, that we don't just get it for some and not others. So I really appreciate that. That's a great question, and we are working on that today. I personally believe that we can get our friends in the industry. We're trying to get a lot of those folks on board, saying, hey, if you want this talent pipeline, then you have to invest in it. So help us out here a little bit. So I'm hoping that we'll get more help from foundations like this one and getting good stuff into the schools.
Right. So the next question is, since we aren't old enough to vote, how can we make an impact on the incoming election?
Man, that is a great question. And activism is so important. If we really want to change the world, we can't keep waiting for someone else, right? It really falls down to us. And your voice is important now more than ever. We need to hear from the young people, because this is about your future. And so it is important to be active. And, I got to be the first to admit, I started out in medicine and as a therapist, and really loved my science career and what I was doing, but I didn't think much about politics and what it had to do with me. But I can tell you now, I really realize that it has a lot to do with you. As I said, how much funding your schools get, it has to do with what opportunities you have in life. It's so much to do with every facet in our lives, our environment. So it's important that we're active. And you know what? You guys have something a lot of people don't. When I know young people come up here to speak to the legislators, they really like to listen to young people. And so they listen to your voice, and it's important. So some of you can actually, and I'm trying to think about this, let me figure it out. But if you're going to be 18, I think you can register, and I'm going to get this right, I think before November, to vote in the next election. And I'll get the details on that for you. But so you can register to vote. That's a really important thing to do. And then you can contact a campaign and get involved. You can get involved at any age. My daughter helped when we helped in early presidential campaigns, and she worked on the phones. So you can work the phones. We used to go door to door and help give people information about candidates. We don't do that right now because of the virus, but I'm sure they could get you on phones and doing webinars and things like that. raising funds. All those things are really important in campaigns. And most of all, speaking up and making sure that your voice is heard. You can write letters, you can get online for folks. All this is really, really important, gathering together with your friends and making sure that your voice is heard in the next election.
The other question that we have is, what duties and challenges come with being the First Lady of Virginia?
That's a great question too. Well, you know what? This isn't an elected job. So that's kind of a good news, bad news thing. So the good news is I'm not elected, so I'm not conscripted to one kind of job. But it's also a bad news thing because I'm not elected. So I don't have, always the same platform that other people who are elected are. So I really have the choice to make this job what I want it to be, in a sense. And that's what other first spouses have done. So some people have been very, very involved, and some people haven't been involved much at all. So for me, because the governor and we met over pediatrics practice. You may know that we have a STEM family. He's a pediatric neurologist. That means he takes care of kids' brains. And I was a therapist when we met. So we've been working in medicine and with children for a long time. And so we knew that we really wanted to help children in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So when I was given this great opportunity, I thought, you know what, this is one way to help kids just at a bigger platform. It's also, I worked for an environmental nonprofit for years, and so it was also a great opportunity for me to think about how I can really move that ball forward in taking care of our precious environment and our resources for you guys in the next generation. So for me, I'm only the second person to have a professional office in the administration, in the governor's administration. So I wanted to make sure, ladies, that once you get a seat at the table, you don't let that go. So I stuck my foot in the door, and I'm here in a professional office. I have a full-time staff, and we do a lot of work. I did about 5,000 miles across the state of Virginia and accumulated about, I think it was close to, how much money did we get on that? Millions of dollars for early childhood education. I don't know what the final total is on that. So we really fought to really help pass a bill and to take care of our children in many, many other ways across the Commonwealth. So this has been a great opportunity and a privilege for me. And I got to tell you also, it can be some fun. I've met really interesting people like Jay Farrow. You guys know the guy who used to do the great impressions for Saturday Night Live. It might have been a little bit before your time, but he's hilarious. Pharrell Williams, the terrific musician, is a good friend of mine. He really cares about education as well. We've met all kinds of interesting people. You guys might have heard of a gentleman called Vint Cerf, who is one of the founding fathers of the internet. Look him up. He's a pretty outrageous guy. He's a friend of the governor's. So lots of really ambassadors from all over the world. So it really provides a great opportunity to talk to people and get to know folks from all around the world and to do good work. So for me, it's not always an easy job as a private person, just an old school teacher and a therapist, but it's a great opportunity to make a little change in the world. And look, I get to talk to you guys today and see some drones maybe. So pretty fun.
So I'm homeschooled, and so far in public schools, there hasn't been as much of an opportunity for homeschools to participate in extracurricular activities.
Right.
So now that everyone is doing virtual and everyone is somewhat homeschooled, have you put any thought to having homeschoolers included in some of the extracurricular activities in virtual, and then maybe continuing that once we go back to school?
What a great question. So, you guys might have to help our friends who aren't used to doing school at home, right? I hope you can give us some good pointers on that. And I think for a little while, we're going to have a blend of both, right? We'll do some things at home and we'll do some things at school. And you guys are kind of showing the way because you're distanced, right? 6 feet apart. You're wearing your mask to take care of each other. You're washing your hands frequently. You're doing all the things that science tells us is important to do with this virus. And as it changes quickly and we learn from that, then we adapt to what we're recommending others to do. And that's important science and technology. That's virology, epidemiology, all those great sciences that are out there and technologies that are really important in making sure we get that information fast and quickly. So I think you're going to see a combination of doing things at home and at school for a little while until we can get our vaccine out and make sure that we've taken care of this virus totally. And maybe what we will do is a silver lining from this is, at least what I'm hoping is, we'll learn some new things out of this and sort of crack open that door to look at things creatively and from a new perspective. Just as you said, I think you guys can lead the way in saying, hey, maybe there's a way for us to do things at school and for kids that are usually at school to do some great things at home, and to combine those two knowledges to make a better place for everybody. I like the way you're thinking on that, and I'm going to take that back to our Department of Education and see what they're doing on that. But I have a feeling that that's exactly the way we're trending, and you're going to be seeing that more in the future. That's a great question. What else you guys got?
So the last question from us before we move on is, how did you transition from being a pediatrics to become the First Lady of Virginia? And what were the challenges you faced and how did you overcome them? And what advice do you have for us females as well?
Gosh, you guys have great questions. You're better than the journalists I talk to. So, that's a good question. And I got to tell you, I was a little sad because I really love my job and I miss my students. I really do. When I talk to other teachers right now, your teachers, they're really sad. They miss you guys a lot. Now I'm getting choked up. But they miss having you guys in the classroom. I miss my classes too and my students, but I get to see more of them and I get to meet a lot more out on the road. So it was a tough transition for me a little bit at first, but like I said, I get to do so many cool and inspirational things. And I got to tell you, I was a little scared. I've never done anything like this before, and really to have the weight of the responsibility of the whole state on your shoulders is kind of intimidating. So I want you to know that it's awesome to take on a challenge like this. And I think that's what you're learning too. And that's going to be my question for you guys, is I want to know how many times you guys this week have taken on a challenge. Well, let me back up and say this. I grew up in an environment where especially young ladies were taught you had to be perfect about everything. Does that resonate with any of you? Does anybody have parents like that, or just society in general, where sometimes you don't try because you're taught to be perfect? And that's what Reshma's Sanjani talks about. She's the lady who started Women Who Code and Girls Who Code. If you haven't seen her TED Talk, you need to check it out because it's pretty awesome. And it talks about the bravery deficit. And that's why it keeps a lot of us out of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, is because we think we have to be perfect and we're not willing to try. And if you think about the times you had to rewrite code, how many times you have to go back and trial and error, it takes a lot of failure before you get to where you want to go, doesn't it? And that takes a lot of courage for people. And so we talked about being a tech family. I told you my husband's a neurologist. My son is a neurosurgery resident. My daughter is a web developer. So she codes and does apps and websites. My brother does cybersecurity. He was with the Air Force for a long time. My dad's an engineer. My mom's a nurse. So we got like a lot of science and technology, engineering and math in our family. But what I learned pretty early on is you can't go anywhere unless you take a challenge, unless you try and fail a few times. And some of the people who've done the most outrageous things in science and technology tried it many, many times before they're successful. I think a lot of the .coms say you're not anybody in Silicon Valley unless you've had 2 failed .coms. I don't know if you ever heard that before. So, I would really encourage you to get out there and try and fail and try again. And that's part of what becoming a first lady was about too, is that I was really worried, but I said, you know what, let's do this. This is a great opportunity. And I might try and fail a little bit. And I tell you what, you got to fail big in front of everybody, right? TV, newspapers, everything. So it takes a lot of courage to get out there and try, but it's worth it. Trust me, it's worth it. So I really encourage you to get out there and try as well, because I know in your life, when you're brave and you take those challenges, it is worth it. And it's a great way to grow.
Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies, for taking the time for today's really
great job. Yeah, that's awesome. I love seeing our ladies there.
So, you had mentioned, bringing STEM in and having sponsors and folks that can really help support that. And we're no different, right? So we are a nonprofit, we're happy and absolutely privileged really to help and put these kinds of things on. But as you know, we can't do it alone. So we wanted to take some time to really recognize some of the folks that have helped us do this week.
Great.
I'd also like to introduce not only to you, but to the rest of the folks here, Brian DeMuth, who is one of the co-founders of the foundation, as well as the president of the board. So Brian, and then behind the scenes, if you don't see, are all the people taking pictures and checking cameras and making sure everything works. And so we've got the full staff with Matt Weaver, and then who really helped set this up, and Jonathan and Ashley. And I know I'm missing a ton of other people here who have really helped. So
what a great team. Got a great team. We can't do anything on our own, right?
So what I really wanted to do was turn this over to Matt, who has taken the time to put all the donors together, and then want to recognize each one of them as well.
Kevin Fitzpatrick and Andrew Beardoff from Cat Group Financial, they brought a donation that really focuses on supporting everything that you're doing, and so they would like to present a check to the foundation as a way of support. And so, gentlemen, Kevin, do you have anything to say? Or?
Yeah, no, terrific. Well, First Lady, thank you so much for joining us here today. I'm Kevin Fitzpatrick. I'm the CEO of the Government Technology Insurance Company, and we're thrilled to be able to support the summer camp. This is our first trip down here. I'm super impressed. I think Brian and Caesar and Matt and Joel have done wonderful work here, and looking forward to hanging out and talking to some of the folks afterward. And this is Andrew Beardoff, our general counsel, and also holding the big check.
It's so nice to meet you all, and it's a very important job to hold the big check.
Yeah, and not to turn my back on you, but just to address the kids for a moment here.
Of course.
You know, what a giant check looks like. Okay? And we had several of our business partners all chip in because we think what you guys are doing is fantastic. What you're doing right now is just adding tools to your toolbox that as you grow and, you know, as you get older, you're going to figure out what to do with those tools and find the right place for them. I've got a science background too. I have an undergraduate degree in biology, a graduate degree in neuroscience, and I'm a lawyer. All right? And yeah, I know I went to the evil side, but you know, all of those things were different tools in my toolbox that have helped me mature and grow, start a business, become successful. And all these tools that you are getting are going to be things that are helpful to you as you go through the same process.
Right.
So we'd like to, you know, thank all of you and thank all of you guys for being here, because this has been a terrific thing, and we were glad to help out as best we could. You're
Thank you very much. Thank you so much from the foundation. I know that you're running up against another meeting. So, team, I'd like to get a thank you to the First Lady, please, for participating in this event. So,
thanks, everybody. I wish you the best. Go out there and fly your drones. Have a great time. And I can't wait to see where you guys go next. So keep me posted.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
Stay safe, everyone. Have fun.